Hey guys, it's Liz from Consumed by Books, and I'm here to do a book chat. Book chat is hosted by Misty over at the Book Rat, and I am doing one for the month of October, so I'm a little late, but we are talking about book spines. Before I get into the spines, I just want to say I have been doing some updates on the channel. I'm starting to make everything into playlists, so I just finished the book haul playlist earlier today. That took about 2 hours because there's 50 book hauls. I'm really bad about linking things in the description box, as you know, so I was actually going through and adding the link to the corresponding blog post for everyone, which is why it took so long. But soon the channel will be much more organized, and I hope much easier for you guys to use and enjoy, because I do want to be more active in the BookTube community. So with that said, let's talk about spines. I actually really like looking at book spines when I pick up a book at the library or in a bookstore or I'm buying a book. A lot of times when a book comes out, we talk a lot about the cover because that's released way before you see the full jacket. You always see the cover in advance. But, sometimes in bookstores, books are sitting face out on the shelf, but a lot of times you just see their spine, so it actually can give a really strong first impression, and I think that's important. I've kind of picked out 4 different things that I like in book spines, and I've divided the piles of books here I have into those 4 categories, so I'm going to tell you about those. The first thing I really like is when the designers take a detail that's on the cover and then kind of recreate it on the spine. So for example, here we have Birthmarked, which is by Kara M. O'Brien. As you can see, we have Girl with the Windswept Hair, and these little lines going down the front, I don't know what they mean because I haven't read this book, but they're repeated here. And I think that's really interesting because they do give off a vibe that this is kind of a sci-fi and different book, but they don't tell you what it's about, so it creates a lot of intrigue. One of my favorite book spines on my shelves, actually, is the one for Rampant by Diana Peterfren. And if you look at the spine, we have the eye and the font and the sword, and I love that because it tells you so much about the book, even though the title is only one word, and the spine really isn't that complex. And I'm really sad that they didn't repeat it for Ascendant, which is right here. That's just like pink font and the sword, because I actually love how like Astrid's face is kind of the background. Another one I think is really well done, The Girl Who Chased the Moon by Sarah Addison Allen. Here's our spine. So we've got this picture of the girl on the front holding a lantern, and that's repeated right here. For one thing, I think the color scheme that's used on the cover of this book works really well. It could look kind of like a Christmas tree because they're working a lot with blues and reds and greens, but they made it look earthy, yet still like a fairy tale, which, and again, I haven't read this particular book of Sarah Addison Allen's, but I've read Garden Spells and The Sugar Queen, and the fairy tale magical realism vibe suits her work very well in my experience. So I think that it was very wise to just put this on the cover. So if I'm a reader picking this up in a bookstore, I can kind of tell that this is going to be similar to her other books. Now this one's actually a little bit different. We have Stolen by Lucy Christopher, and as you can see, we do have the butterfly here, and that's repeated much more smallly, in a much smaller size, I should say, on the spine. But we have white instead of gray, and I like that because it provides a really stark contrast to the cover of the book, which can also work very well. And I get the sense that this kind of whole bare appearance that the spine and the cover have fit the story. Again, this is another one that is on my TBR pile. So, another one I love, and maybe this is just because I love red shoes. I own probably 3 or 4 pairs of red shoes myself. We've got Cinder, and then it's on the spine with the heel right down there. I also think the font for this book is really well done. I love how the C looks kind of like a music note, and they didn't use a font that looks really standard and generic. Now this one's a little bit different as well. We have The Girl Who Fell Beneath Fairyland and Led the Revels There. So this is September, our protagonist on the cover, and all we see on the spine is her head, really. We don't see anything below that. But I think that's enough to really capture the reader's interest, at least for me. I just love when they do little portraits like this. Two other great examples are Ruby Red by Kirsten Gear and Velveteen by Danny Marks. Obviously I can't show you every single book because we'd be here forever, but yes, I love that little detail right there. And I also love how they do the same thing on the first book, which I might have shown you, but it's packed in one of the boxes out in the hallway. Okay, so the second thing I really love on book spines is when they do a cover that's kind of a wraparound pattern. And a great example of this is We the Drowned, which is by Karsten Jensen. I recently got this one at Half Price Books, and for the record, Allison at the Allura Books and I are going to host a read-along for this in January, so stay tuned for details on that. But we've got kind of the sea here on the boat, and we get that again on the side, but on the back, we also have a house and an airplane. No, that's a bird. Well, there's a bird and an airplane, excuse me. So we get all these interesting details, and it really makes me want to know, like, how does the house and the plane tie into the story? What do we learn about the ship when we read the book? You know. And you also, I think, get a sense of setting from just the way the waves are designed. Like, you get the sense that this is going to be a very unique kind of epic book, and I will let you know if that turns out to be true. Another wraparound cover I love, Marcello in the Real World by Francisco X. Stork. Again, this is another cover where I think that they just nailed the cover scheme. Not the cover scheme, the color scheme. It is perfect. So we've got kind of treehouse up here, and we see it again on the side, and the back is the tree branches and the moon. I love it. I think it's so well done. So that's wonderful. And I also have Dearly Departed, which is by Leah Habel. This is one that Misty showed as well, but we've got the girl on the cover, and we've got the cross, and then on the back we have this really nice lacy pattern kind of enclosing the quote. And another one, our last wraparound cover, Storm Dancer, and if you look at the spine, we have this very unique font replicated on the spine, and then just a little bit of the flowers to kind of give you the sense that this is maybe a book set in, you know, Asia somewhere, and, you know, that might intrigue some readers enough to pick it up. So that's very good. So my next category is books that have really awesome covers, but also have really cool covers when you look underneath the dust jacket. So we have The Diviners by Libba Bray. We've got this creepy eye here, and you see the creepy eye again on the spine, which, like, I would just totally pick this up if I was in a bookstore because I'd be like, it's watching me. Anyways, if you take the jacket off, it looks really nice, and then you've got the white font there. So it looks good if you do that too, and that is an important detail to me because when I read my books, I take off the dust jacket because I don't want it to get messed up. Prisoners in the Palace. This is by Michaela McCall. I love the intricate design that they did here. You can tell that it fits the theme of the book and the cover, but it still adds something a little bit different, very ornate, very decorative. And if you go under the dust jacket, very cool. So, sorry, probably not exciting to watch me put the jacket back on. And my last example of this one is Why We Broke Up, and this is by Daniel Handler. So we have the umbrella on the spine, which is really cool because that does play a role in the story. But then, if you take the jacket off, you get these flowers on the spine, and you see that it's actually a very different look underneath the dust jacket. And then my last thing that I really like is when there is a color or style of font that really pops and catches the eye. This one isn't quite an example of that, but I wasn't sure where else to put it. It was the closest thing I could find. Maybe it should also count as details that are in other parts of the cover, but we have the circus stripe on the side of the night circus. I think that's really awesome, and I love how they, again, do the little pattern here, because honestly, I think the book cover might be a little bit bland without that splash of red, or the spine rather, not the cover. And then I love how when you open the book, the stripes, like the ones on the spine, are kind of replicated. And by the way, this is an excellent book. You should absolutely pick it up if you have not already. It's very well done, very beautifully written. So I also really like when there's a black or like gray or neutral colored spine that has a really great pop of color. Like this turquoise on Uncommon Criminals. We have it here across the girl's chest and then here on the spine. It's a really small detail, but it draws your attention to this book, and it gives you a feel for the fact that this might be kind of a fun book, you know. Yeah, at least I get fun from turquoise. But then again, I've read the first book in this series, High Society, so I know that it's fun. And I think that Uncommon Criminals will be too when I get to it. And I love this Unspoken, the nice gold on the spine, and we have that on the cover too. I just think that this whole cover is gorgeous, and actually this counts as a wraparound too, you see, so really this cover has everything that I love going for it. And I've heard this book is absolutely hilarious, so again, hoping I get to it soon. Another one for really cool font is The Unnaturalists by Tiffany Trent. I love the fact that the font is kind of bronzy gold. That's very cool. It pops beautifully against the green. And I'm not sure what's up with these little, like, this little green pattern that's going on down here. I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be, but I think that it's very cool. And again, this is another cover that's just really pretty, and I'm hoping to get to this one soon. Another color that I really like on the spine is this gold in Monstrous Beauty. I don't know why, but this color just pops so well against the dark blues. It's perfect. So well done. And I'm really hoping this book, as good as the reviews have said it is, again, really gorgeous cover there. And this is another one that Misty said too, but I can't leave it out because it's so good. Jane, with its beautiful pop of pink there on the spine. This is just, I mean, the pink may be my favorite thing about the cover. Yeah. This is another one that I haven't read, but I did find out recently that there is going to be a sequel coming out in early winter of 2013. I want to say January. I can't remember the name of the sequel, but it is about Wuthering Heights, so it might be called Kathy. I'll be sure and add that detail in once I put the video on YouTube and add my little snarky annotations. But yes, I love it. And actually there's wraparound on this one too, because we've got the trees on the back, but you know, the way this whole blurbing thing is really well done too, because the tones that they picked matches the other colors that they've used in the cover, so that it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. Gives it a really cohesive design. And my last one is Scones and Sensibility. This is by Lindsay Eland. This is another one that I still need to read. I'm going to hopefully bake scones and read it. I think that the color and the font are both really well selected here. They give it kind of a fun, flirty, feminine vibe. And those are all things that I expect this book to be when I read it, because it's supposed to be kind of a middle grade retelling of Sense and Sensibility. So I'm looking forward to diving into that. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts on book spines. I think that they should help the book to stand out, offer the reader a little piece of intrigue that makes them want to pick up the book and look at the whole thing and maybe even read it. And I also think that they need to work with the rest of their covers to really give the design a cohesive feeling. Yeah, and that's about it. I was gonna say something, but I kind of lost my train of thought there. the spine should help the cover look cohesive, because I think that way, you know, you get a much better feel for the book overall, and what it might be like. But then again, some covers are very different from the books that are inside them. That is, however, something for another vlog. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in for this edition to Book Chat. If you did book chat, or if you plan on making one after seeing this video, please link up in the comments and I will be sure to come and check it out. Happy reading!